Objection handling. AI responses that win. Objections are showing up earlier and faster than ever. Objections used to arrive after discovery, a deck, and maybe a demo. Now they hit on the first cold email, the first LinkedIn message, or within the first 30 seconds of a cold call. That shift changes the job. Objection handling isn't a late-stage skill anymore. It's what earns you the right to have a real conversation. Buyer behavior is the backdrop. Gartner reports 61% of B2B buyers prefer a rep-free buying experience, and 73% actively avoid suppliers that send irrelevant outreach. When buyers are already trying to self-serve, a slow or generic objection response doesn't just lose the deal, it ends the conversation. Meanwhile, AI has already moved into the mainstream. When 95% of organizations use AI in sales and 84% have used generative AI in the past year, no AI isn't a neutral choice. It's a competitive disadvantage. The winning approach isn't replacing reps with bots. It's using AI to make your SDR agency or outsourced sales team sharper, faster, and more consistent. Why objection handling now drives reply rates and pipeline. Outbound is tighter than it was a year ago. Belkin's reports average cold email reply rates fell from 6.8% in 2023 to 5.8% in 2024, a 15% year-over-year decline. When fewer prospects respond, every objection reply has to do more work, clarify relevance, re-anchor value, and move the conversation forward. The gap between average and elite execution is massive. Across 10,000-plus B2B cold email campaigns, typical response rates sit around 1 to 3%, while the top performers hit 8 to 12%. That spread is exactly where better targeting and better objection handling live, whether you're running in-house outreach or partnering with a cold email agency. AI personalization can widen that advantage even further. One case study showed reply rates tripled from 8% to 25% by tailoring content and timing, which makes the second touch after an objection even more decisive. If you operate a cold calling agency or outbound sales agency motion, this is the same principle. Relevance wins attention, and attention creates meetings. Use AI as an objection analyst, not a script machine. The best AI objection handling starts with analysis, not writing. Feed your past call transcripts, email threads, and CRM notes into AI and force it to categorize objections by persona, funnel stage, and outcome. When you can see what's actually happening, timing from VPs versus budget from finance, your responses get sharper and your coaching becomes measurable. AI adoption data suggests this workflow fits how teams already operate. HubSpot found 43% of sales professionals use AI at work, and 47% use generative AI to write sales content and prospect outreach. That means AI-assisted objection replies aren't a cultural leap. They're the next logical step in a sales development agency workflow. Where teams get it wrong is treating AI output like a final answer. AI should summarize the objection, draft 2 to 3 options, and suggest follow-up questions, while a human tightens the voice and checks the risk. This human-in-the-loop model is especially important for sales outsourcing and pay-per-appointment lead generation programs, where consistent quality across many touches is the product. Build the engine. Tag, prompt, guardrail, repeat. Start with a simple audit of the last 3 to 6 months of outbound replies and call notes. Use AI to cluster objections into a manageable set, usually 8 to 12, and standardize the labels in your CRM so reps can tag them quickly. Once objections are tagged, you can compare outcomes by segment and stop guessing which responses actually book meetings. Next, anchor AI drafting in a framework your team can coach. Layer, listen, acknowledge, explore, respond works well because it forces clarity and keeps the rep curious. In practice, we prompt AI with persona, stage, value props, a word limit, and a single CTA, usually a 10 to 15-minute fit check. That structure prevents the most common failure mode, an eloquent response that's long, vague, and impossible to reuse. Finally, set non-negotiable guardrails. AI should never invent pricing, legal terms, security commitments, or competitor claims. It should only remix approved messaging blocks in sensitive areas. If you want AI at scale across a cold calling team, B2B cold calling services, or a cold email agency motion, those rules protect brand voice and reduce avoidable risk. AI shouldn't replace judgment. Its job is to make your best judgment easier to apply in every reply, on every call, every time. Channel-specific playbooks. Email, calls, and LinkedIn need different moves. One objection can't have one universal response. A cold email reply needs to be tight and skimmable. A call response needs a 15 to 20-second talk track plus a question. And a LinkedIn response often needs 2 lines that re-earn attention without sounding pushy. Treating every channel the same is how teams end up with robotic responses that buyers ignore. Email is where speed and relevance win. The moment a prospect replies with "not a priority" or "already have a vendor," your rep should be able to click a shortcut that generates a draft grounded in your framework, then edit and send within a minute. That workflow is how an outsourced sales team keeps reply handling consistent across many SDRs without turning into a copy and paste machine. Calls are where AI should coach, not talk. Real-time prompts can remind cold callers to acknowledge the pushback, ask a single diagnostic question, and avoid debating, especially with "send me info," "no budget," or "we tried that before." When reps follow the same structure, your cold call services become more predictable, and training stops relying on tribal knowledge. Common mistakes that make AI objection handling worse. The biggest mistake is letting AI freestyle. Without constraints, AI will write long, generic answers that feel like marketing copy, which is exactly what buyers are filtering out. If 73% of buyers avoid irrelevant outreach, you can't afford technically correct responses that fail the relevance test. The next mistake is failing to build a feedback loop. If reps don't tag objections, you can't connect response patterns to meetings and opportunities, and your AI library becomes static. The fix is operational. Make objection type and AI-assisted yes/no required fields on activities. Then report meeting rates and opportunity creation by objection category. The third mistake is over-automating sensitive content. Pricing, compliance language, and competitor comparisons should be locked to approved blocks with human review, especially in regulated industries. AI can still help by summarizing the context and proposing safe questions, but it should never become the source of truth for claims your sales agency can't substantiate. Optimization. Turn objections into data that improves win rates. Once your tagging and templates are live, optimize like a growth team. A/B test AI-assisted versus manual responses on the same objections with the same segments and measure time to reply, meeting rate, and opportunity rate. You're aiming to close the gap between the 1 to 3% average world and the 8 to 12% top decile world by consistently earning a second message. Then refresh your playbooks monthly using real outcomes. Pull the best performing objection replies and call snippets and have AI generalize them into reusable patterns by persona, industry, and deal size, creating a living swipe file that improves with usage. This is where AI stops being a convenience and becomes a system, especially valuable when you hire SDRs quickly or scale sales outsourcing across multiple clients. The upside can be material. Bain research has been cited showing early AI deployments in sales increased win rates by more than 30%. And Salesforce reports 84% of salespeople already using generative AI say it helped increase sales by speeding and improving customer interactions. Objection handling sits directly inside those interactions, so improving speed, relevance, and structure can translate into real pipeline movement. How we think about AI objection handling at SalesHive and your next steps. At SalesHive, we've learned that objection handling improves fastest when it's treated as an operating system, not a one-time training. Since 2016, we've booked 100,000 plus meetings for 1,500 plus B2B clients by combining experienced SDRs with AI-assisted workflows that keep messaging consistent without killing authenticity. The goal is always the same: earn the next conversation with relevance, not pressure. If you want to start today, keep it low lift and measurable. Audit recent objections, generate first draft responses for your top 10 categories, and train reps to edit for voice, accuracy, and risk before sending. This AI drafts, humans decide approach works whether you're running B2B cold calling in-house, evaluating cold calling companies, or building an outsourced B2B sales motion. Finally, make the workflow stick operationally. Put response shortcuts where reps work: email, dialer, and LinkedIn. Require objection tagging, and review outcomes weekly so coaching is grounded in data, not opinions. When you do that, AI becomes a compounding advantage. Every objection becomes training data. Every reply gets sharper, and your outbound sales agency motion becomes more predictable.